The disciplinary activities themselves must not disrupt the programs of the department. So, Chairperson, we're still waiting the report. As of today, I don't have the report from the department. All what I've been hearing is the speculation in the media. Until we have such report, then we cannot comment on the outcomes of those disciplinary hearings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The Honourable Minister of Economic Development.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. The Honourable Coleman spoke of the Kakamas hydro project. And I'd like to emphasize how important this is. It illustrated, I visited the plant in Kakamas about 3 Sundays ago. And the foreign investor was very complimentary about government's renewable energy program. It's a program led by the Minister of Energy. And what that project highlighted in the town of Kakamas is the success of renewable energy. In fact, honourable members, over the last 15 months, we've launched about 33 solar or wind or hydro plants. They're bringing energy into the grid. But it also shows the energy that is actually connected to the grid, 1,800 megawatts. Now, of course, it's not strictly comparable, but if you want to get an approximation of what that means, it's roughly the installed capacity of a Koeberg nuclear power station. It also emphasized the important role of the IDC, the Industrial Development Corporation. It has now invested 13.5 billion rand in renewable energy. And finally, Honourable Chairperson, it emphasizes the importance of our infrastructure program as a whole. In that same week that that program was launched, the Deputy President led a team of people to Carnarvon in the Northern Cape to launch a radio telescope. We had the Kakamas project, and we also had a project in Pofadder. All of these emphasize the importance of infrastructure, the focus of government, the importance of renewable energy, and the partnerships we're developing with the private sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable members, that concludes ministerial responses. The Secretary will read the first order of the day.
Decision of question on second reading, Division of Revenue Bill.
Honourable members, I wish to remind you that after the debate on the second reading of this bill on Thursday, the 12th of March 2015, the decision of question on the second reading was postponed as a vote showed that the majority of the members were not present for a decision to be taken on the bill. I therefore put the question, are there any objections to the Division of Revenue Bill being read a second time? I now put the question.
House Chair.
Yes, Honourable Member.
The Democratic Alliance requests the opportunity to make a declaration. There was no declaration period when the bill was put last week.
Honourable Member, Rule 78 provides that a postponed question is put without further debate. This bill was subject to a full debate on the 12th of March. All political parties were given an opportunity to state their positions on the bill during the course of that debate. I am therefore not inclined to allow declarations of vote where a debate on the question has been concluded. Members are also reminded that in terms of Rule 81, the presiding officer has a discretion to allow declarations of vote. We will therefore proceed to put the question for decision. Those in favour will say aye. And those against will say no. I think the ayes have it.
House Chairperson, given that the ANC are actually here today, we'd like to call for a division.
A division having been called for, the bells will be rung for 5 minutes. Order, honourable members, will you take up your allocated seats? Order, honourable members. I would like to remind members that they may only vote from their allocated seats. When requested to do so, members must simply indicate their vote by pressing the appropriate button below the yes, no, or abstain signs. If a member inadvertently presses the wrong button, the member may thereafter press the correct button. The last button pressed will be recorded as the member's vote when the voting session is closed by the chair. The question before the House is that the Division of Revenue Bill be read a second time. Are all members in their allocated seats? Voting will now commence. Those in favor of the bill being read a second time should press the yes button. Those against should press the no button. Those wishing to abstain should press the abstain button. Have all members voted? Thank you. The voting session is now closed.
House Chair, if I may, if you could just inform Honourable Sisulu I have voted like I did last week.
I'd like to thank House Chair.
Yes,
I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for being such an obedient member of the House today.
Yes, Honourable Deputy Minister. Order, honourable members.
Chairperson, my machine is not working.
We'll check if your vote has actually gone through, Honourable Deputy Minister. If it's not there, then we'll ask it to be recorded. Honourable members, order. The result of the division is as follows. Those who voted in favour 234, no 99, and there are no abstentions. The question is accordingly agreed to and the Secretary will read the bill a second time.
Division of Revenue Bill.
The bill will be sent to the National Council of Provinces for concurrence. We now get to the second motion on the order paper.
Sorry, Deputy Chairperson.
Yes, Honourable Member.
I'd like you to record the objection of EFF. We don't support a bill that is enhancing black bourgeoisie.
Order, Honourable Members. Honourable Member, we have voted on the bill, so we can't record the objection. Order, Honourable Members. Order. The last item on the order paper is a motion in the name of the Honourable, the Leader of the Opposition. The Honourable Maimane.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, Madams, Honourable Members, Bagaetsu Dumela. Let me firstly send my deepest condolences to Minister Chabane's family and the African National Congress for their loss. We mourn his passing and hope that his family will soon find peace during these trying times. Honourable members, today is not a pleasant day. Nobody wants South Africa to succeed as much as we do. Every member of this House wants our country to be a place of prosperity and hope for every citizen. We all want opportunities to be extended to those denied them in the past. And we all want a president we can believe in, somebody with the commitment and the vision to take us forward. Now, honorable members, we had that in President Nelson Mandela. When Madiba was president, life was not perfect. But he gave us hope. He gave us the belief that we were moving in the right direction. He respected and upheld the Constitution and placed the needs of the people before the needs of the party. He gave us a glimpse of what a non-racial and a united South Africa would look like. He was a selfless leader who embodied the democratic dream. But the light of that dream has since faded, as the ANC has become a party that places the needs of one man above those who elected them to power. On the day of his inauguration in 2009, President Zuma made a commitment to South Africans to service of our nation with dignity, commitment, discipline, integrity, hard work, and passion. Yet in the 6 years that President Zuma has presided over our country, the dream of President Nelson Mandela has been all but destroyed, and the integrity of the office of the president decimated. Madam Speaker, the vote before us today is not only one of confidence, it is one of conscience. We cannot in good conscience allow the needs of millions of South Africans to be superseded by the agenda of one man while we look on in silence. For too long, the members on my right have turned a blind eye to the distraction of our democracy being perpetrated by the president and his project of state capture on the grandest scale. It's on a day like this that I wish we weren't constrained by the straitjacket of our party system. Because I know that many of you on this side will vote against your conscience today. You will vote to keep a man in office who's doing everything possible to evade the 783 counts of fraud, corruption, and racketeering. You will vote for a thief, a man who stole the people's money to build his 246 million rands home, while millions of South Africans go to bed hungry. And yes,
the Chief Whip, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, could you please take your seat?
Can you pause my time, Honorable Speaker?
Yes, sure. Let's pause the time of the Honorable Member.
Honorable Speaker.
Sorry, Chief Whip, just put the 3 minutes back. Honorable Chief Whip.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Maimane knows that the President has never been judged by any court to be a thief. He has no right to call him a thief. He must withdraw now.
Honorable Maimane.
Madam Speaker.
What is the issue, Honorable Steenhuisen?
Madam Speaker, the Constitutional Court of this country has ruled that it is correct that the President can be called a thief.
No, Honorable Steenhuisen.
And it is fair comment.
Honorable Steenhuisen, can I say the following to the Honorable, the Leader of the Opposition? Honorable Member, you know that it is unparliamentary to call a member who is not even in this House a thief. Can you please either bring that matter as a substantive motion or withdraw?
Madam Speaker.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
I'm talking to the Honorable, the member of the Leader of the Opposition at the present moment. Can I finish with the Leader of the Opposition? Honorable Maimane?
Honorable Chair?
No, Honorable
on the matter of your
Honorable
ruling.
Lozi, please take your seat.
Before you implement your ruling,
Honorable
Chair, we're
Lozi,
calling a point of order.
Honorable Lozi, I am addressing the Honorable, the Leader of the Opposition.
But we
Could
want
you
to address
take your seat.
Honorable
take your
Speaker.
seat, Honorable Lozi, take your seat. Honorable Maimane.
Honorable Speaker, if the Constitutional Court gives me permission to be able to say that, why are we limiting those rights here in this House?
Honorable Maimane, I have not seen anything from the Constitutional
Madam
Court
Speaker.
addressed to this House
Madam Speaker.
on that matter.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable Maimane, we need the matter as a substantive motion.
Madam Speaker,
we have not been addressed by the Constitutional Court. This House has not been addressed, not as a letter, not as any way of communication. So until We have that. We need you to stick by the rules of the House, and it is unparliamentary. You are not losing time. You are not losing time. No. That time is going to be given back to you. That much I can make sure. So please, Honorable Musi, Maimane, bring this matter as a substantive motion, or you stay off anything unparliamentary.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Steenhuisen.
Madam Speaker, the nature of the motion before us today is such that it is a substantive motion. It's required motivation. It's a constitutional motion, and therefore the Honourable Maimane is allowed to make these comments.
Honorable Steenhuisen, I need Honorable Maimane to steer off any unparliamentary language.
On a point of order, Chair.
What is your point of
yes, Chair. I'm
point
rising
of order?
On Rule 70, which
Yes.
provides, Honourable Speaker, that seeing that your ruling says you have not been addressed by the Constitutional Court, you have not received the ruling. Many of us have received it because it's a very old ruling by now. I think that you can postpone this matter of your ruling because we can't be seen as this House to undermine the Constitutional Court. It has rules.
Honorable
and
Josie,
since, Honorable Speaker, you have
take
not
your
seen
seat.
it. You can
The
implement
issues-
Rule 70 because we are allowed. It is not unparliamentary to say that the President or anybody
Honorable
is a
Josie,
thief, particularly in a substantial
This
motion.
House has its own rules, orders, and internal
But we are not above the
arrangements.
Constitutional Court, Honorable
And
Speaker.
Honorable Josie, take your seat. We are not run by any court, especially when it has not. This House is run by its own rules and internal arrangements.
Madam Speaker, does this mean we ignore all judgments from courts from now on?
Honorable
The court has
Waters,
ruled.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable Waters, we are run by our own rules. We are not run by another arm.
Speaker. Speaker.
We are not run by another arm.
Honorable Speaker, may I address you?
No, because I've not recognized you for a start.
I'm
Honorable.
asking for recognition. Madam
No, but you are on your feet already. Honorable JJ, take your seat. And I'm asking everybody else to take a seat until I start recognizing people. Then only they rise. I'm going to start with Honorable Fatima Chohan-Kota.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. I think one of the problems we have in this House is that members seek to usurp the rules to suit their own ends. Madam Speaker, you've made a ruling in this matter. There are processes that allow members who disagree with that ruling to address you. Points of order are not meant to be that mechanism. And I really think that it's about time. I think we've been in this Parliament for about a year now. It's about time that some of these members on this side start learning the rules in the proper way.
Honorable Malema.
Honorable Speaker, I think that you are wrong because just to remind you that these members here of the EFF, according to your rules, were suspended. And the court ruled that their suspension must be uplifted. That's why they are here. And you couldn't defy that judgment and say we are governed by our rules. So consistency is very important. So I just gave you an example that relates exactly to what you just said. So legislature here is not above the Constitutional Court because these rules must be consistent with the Constitution. And therefore, if they are not consistent with the Constitution, they will never be recognized by those who support the Constitution. A constitutional court has made a ruling, Honorable Speaker, and it cannot be correct to call a president a thief outside and be wrong to call a president in Parliament where you must have an absolute freedom of speech. So that is inconsistent, Honorable Speaker. Please protect the Constitution more than even these rules, because the Constitution is above these rules.
Honorable Malema, let me first correct you on the case relating to yourselves. That was an interim order. The main issue is still to be addressed. That's number one. Number two, Honorable Malema. Number two, this House has rules, and it follows those rules and the laws that create it and according to which it runs. And yes, constitutional principles and what we ourselves actually formulated as a constitution. But it does not create chaos whereby we don't know what we are following in the House. So right now, we are going to proceed according to the rules that determine what is parliamentary and what is not parliamentary. And I really request Honorable Maimane to withdraw the question of calling the president a thief, and so that we can proceed with the debate on the motion. Honorable Maimane, please proceed.
Madam Speaker, may I address you, please?
Honorable Maimane, I really appeal to you because we are here to debate your motion, that you don't sabotage us being able to proceed with this business of debating the motion you have put on the order paper. And so allowing us to debate it according to our rules. We can't sabotage ourselves every time we come together. Please, Honorable Maimane, please proceed.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable Steenhuisen, I really would like to proceed with the business of debating the Honorable Leader of the Opposition's motion on the order paper.
Madam Speaker, I respect that, and I also want to proceed with the motion. But it's very important because things have been said in this House today that are going to impact like dominoes going forward. And that is particularly the competence of the Constitutional Court. And I think it's important that we understand that Section 167(5) of the Constitution says very clearly that the Constitutional Court, not Parliament, makes the final decision whether an act of Parliament, a provincial act, or conduct of the President is constitutional and must conform. This House is subordinate to the rulings of the Constitutional Court. And I think we need to establish that very clearly, otherwise we are going to have problems going forward. The second thing I'd like you to make a ruling, Madam Speaker, is whether the constitutional motion before us today is a substantive motion or not, because it's my understanding that a motion of this nature has to be substantive in nature in terms of the requirements of the Constitution, which is why the motion requires members to give a motivation when that motion is submitted.
I recognize the Honorable Minister. No, I want to recognize the Minister. Honorable Masuta.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to put to the House that the matter that is being referred to relates to an utterance made in an SMS that was circulated. The rules of this House or any precedents that may have been set as a result of their interpretation and application was not before that court. And therefore, the legality or constitutionality of the rule that the Speaker is relying upon in finding Honorable Maimane to be unparliamentary still stand. There is no court judgment of any kind, be it the constitutional or otherwise, that has found that rule to be inconsistent with the Constitution, and that rule must be adhered to. It is a rule of debate, it's still in force, it's still valid, and Honorable Maimane, the honors on him, whether to adhere to the rules of this House or not. It's as simple as that, Honorable Speaker. I humbly submit.
Honorable Maimane.
Honorable Speaker, I'll withdraw for this purpose because it's a sad day that your rights can be protected outside this House but cannot be protected inside this House. But what is even more sad, honorable members, is that you will vote for a man who is willing to break democratic institutions so that he can escape accountability. You will vote for a man, and what it seems like today, a party who believe that the ANC is above the Constitution. A man who believes that he is a law unto himself. In fact, more seriously, when the public protector exposed him, he dismissed her simply as an ombudsman and failed to abide by her remedial action. Honorable members, if the president disobeys the public protector, then none of us must obey the public protector, and no South African must as well. When the scorpions, in fact, got too close, they were crushed and replaced by the hawks. And when it looks like the hawks were about to swoop, they were also had their wings clipped. When SARS started investigating fringe tax benefits for Nkandla, it was subjected to a purge of its executive management. Worse than that, as there's a threat of the ANC losing election grows, the IEC was targeted for capture through the appointment of the President's Special Projects Advisor as Commissioner. Coupled with the plans to turn the SABC from a public broadcaster, we are today from a public broadcaster to a state propaganda machine. We are today witnessing the full attack on the freedom of expression and free and fair elections. Yesterday, we went to court and forced the president that we must reinstate the charges he has successfully evaded for 5 years and has established a timeline that will lead to his prosecution. I can assure you, honorable members, the president will have his day in court if this House is not willing to vote him out today. Honorable members, let's be clear about one thing. The president needs his job in order to avoid prosecution. He needs his job to keep enriching himself and his friends and his family. We've seen how even Kulubuse Zuma destroyed a mine and jobs. We've now seen how children of ANC leaders are awarded tenders to the value of 631 million rands for toilets in the Eastern Cape. We saw how the landing of a Gupta family had a red carpet rolled out for them at Waterkloof. Through all of these scandals, President has denied all knowledge and complicity. Honorable members, I'd like to call President Jacob Zuma, President, I did not know. President Angazi. Because when we asked him about upgrades to his own home at Nkandla, his response was, I did not know. I did not ask for the upgrades. And he did nothing to stop them. When we asked him about his friends, the Guptas, landing at Waterkloof, this was the president's response. I did not know, and he did nothing to stop it. When we challenged him about his failure to appear before this House, he said, nobody invited me, yet I hold all the letters here, honorable members, that we've written to both the Speaker and the President saying, when are you coming to this House? But the president stood here and told the people of South Africa, I did not know and therefore did not act. So what exactly does the president know? He seems to have known nothing. In fact, even when Parliament was collapsing in front of his house, he did not act and did nothing. The real tragedy, honorable members, is simply this, that the longer President Jacob Zuma stays on the job, the more South Africans find themselves without a job. South Africa's economic growth for 2014 was a mere 1.4%, down from 1.9%. For 2015, it is projected to be 2%. This is in fact a far cry from the projected 5%, which the NDP requires. While President Zuma has blamed our economic failures on the global climate, sub-Saharan Africa in 2014 averaged 4.5%. Honorable members, when it comes to economic growth, leadership matters, and President Zuma has shown none of it. Since President Zuma assumed office in 2009, the number of unemployed South Africans has grown by 1.4 million people. Our unemployment rate today sits at 36.1%. Over 66% of those are young people. So, honorable members, here's the choice that we have today. You can choose to keep a man in office who steals from the poor. You can choose to keep a man in office who breaks our constitution to protect himself. You can choose to keep a man in office who laughs when parliament is being broken down. Or you can choose to vote with your conscience today. You see, honorable members on this side, if you are unable to vote with your hearts, at least vote with your heads. Because let me remind you, the longer you keep this man in office, the more you show South Africans how the ANC has lost its way. Under President Zuma, your party has dropped over 210,000 votes since 2009. In Gauteng last year, you dropped nearly 10%. So you are losing MPs, we are losing South Africa, but today you are going to vote for President Zuma. In Nelson Mandela Bay, the ANC dropped from 70% to less than 50% last year. So, this is in fact the beauty of our democracy. Every election is a vote of no confidence in President Zuma. And every election we hold shows that the people are losing confidence in the man you insist on propping up as president. So, honorable members, by all means, vote against this motion of no confidence today. Vote against your hearts and vote against your heads. Because know that your children will inherit an economy that is unable to provide them with jobs and support their families. They will look back and ask the question about this day and say, how did you let this thing happen? Know, honorable members, that the pillars of our democracy lie in ruins. They will one day judge you harshly for what you are doing for doing nothing to stop this devastation. And know that the day is coming when the people of this country will vote you out of power.
Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Mulder.
I raise on a point of order.
What's the point of order?
Honourable Speaker, I'm sorry to intervene. We've got two members at the back here. They are shouting the same slogan all the time, drugs, drugs, drugs. The one...
Yes, Honourable Mulder, I'm still listening.
The one has just referred to the Honourable Speaker saying, you are high, and I would suggest it's unparliamentary, and I ask you to withdraw that. And if their whips could please ask them to keep quiet and behave.
I don't know who the honourable members are, but I request honourable members in that corner to lower their voices. I still have outstanding business to attend to in relation to that corner.
Honourable Speaker. There is a female choir almost every day.
Honourable
by Mafu and Mabe. Please.
Honourable Mashabela, please take your seat.
No, we
Honourable member.
To hear important inputs by members here because of their noise there.
Can you take your seat?
Singing with discord, backing like a
Can you please take your seat, honourable member?
No, we are tired of this choir this side.
Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Masina, what's the problem?
Is the member prepared to take a question about drugs in his church?
Honourable Maimane, are you prepared to take a question?
No.
He's not. Honourable Sisulu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I just need some clarity. The Honorable Mulder has said that one of the members there says that the Honorable member is high. He is on a platform. He is high above the... So I don't understand what it is that...
No, Honorable Sisulu, please. Take a...
Honorable Speaker, may I address you on a point of order?
What's the point of order, Honorable Mulder?
Honorable Speaker, I know the Honorable Minister is trying to make a joke. It's not funny. No, it's not. Honorable Speaker, a suggestion that the Honorable Member is on drugs while speaking in Parliament is unparliamentary. I suggest that you inquire from that member who said that and ask her to withdraw.
You didn't name a member.
Honorable Speaker, if the member has the guts to say it, I guess the member's got the guts to stand up as well. You.
Is there an honorable member who is ready to rise to own up to having said the honorable member is high? And I would like the honorable member to withdraw that statement.
Honorable Speaker, I did not mention anything about being high. I know nothing about being high. I hear it for the first time.
What do you know?
I know drugs found in my Honorable Maimane's church. It's here. That I know.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you just withdraw that, honorable member? Honorable Mahambe Hlala, can you withdraw your statement, whatever it is about drugs? Just withdraw it, honorable members.
Speaker.
No, sis, please just withdraw. Because you had no reason to be shouting drugs when you are sitting there and the honorable leader of the opposition is speaking.
Speaker, I withdraw saying that drugs were found in Honorable Maimane's church.
Okay.
Thank you.
Honorable Maimane, can you finish off your speech?
So, Honorable Speaker, this motion is absolutely important. It's important because the people of this country...
Honorable members. We want to hear the end of
have an opportunity to decide on whether are their lives getting better under President Zuma or getting worse. All I can see is that here's a president who is willing to break every rule to stay out of jail, to build a house for himself at taxpayers' money, and then stand before the people of this country and says he refuses to pay. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, South Africans understand, more importantly, that there is coming a day where they will put a vote of no confidence in the party that will defend a person who is trying to stay away from going to jail. They will vote for a party that fights against corruption. They will choose a party that fights for jobs and fights for opportunities. They will choose a party one day that wants to put power back into the hands of the people of this country. They will vote for the DA, and that day is coming. Let us vote President Zuma out of here. I thank you.
The Minister in the Presidency.
Madam Speaker.
Order, honorable members.
Madam Speaker and honorable members, Sunday was really the Ides of March as we woke up to the tragic news that our esteemed cabinet colleague and comrade Collins Chabane had passed away in a horrific car accident on the N1. We wish to convey our acknowledgement and appreciation for the condolences that have been sent to the ANC and this government, and to those that have been sent directly to the families. For the business of the day, Madam Speaker, let us recognize this motion of no confidence in the President for what it is, a desperate attempt by a party that has nothing to offer its country and the few areas that it governs. We will show that this motion is without substance. No sooner had a similar motion been withdrawn 2 weeks ago than another one is proposed by a party which was clearly behind the first attempt, using the vulnerability of a party that has only 2 representatives in a 400-member parliament. The proposers of this motion have told everyone who cares to listen that the economy is at its weakest point in recent history. The opposition then takes a huge leap forward and attributes the economic challenges of the globe to one person, President Zuma. The facts are, in 2007-2008, economic crisis was one of the worst since the Great Depression of the 1920s, and South Africa did not escape that devastating impact. To claim some form of exceptionalism from the economic realities of the globe is wrong and short-sighted. The global economy went from a GDP growth rate of 5.2% in 2007 to 0.7% in 2009. Advanced economies contracted by 3.5%, Central and Eastern Europe by 3.6%, the Eurozone by 4.4%, Latin America and the Caribbean by 1.5%. The global economy bounced back to 4.9 in 2010 to contract back from 2011 onwards. Countries such as Greece, Portugal, Italy, Spain, Puerto Rico, Croatia, Ireland, Netherlands, Slovenia, Cyprus, Denmark, Finland have battled to recover from the economic crisis and have experienced negative growth rates for 2 or more years over the past 4 years. South Africa's economic growth has also tracked the global economy and has remained below its pre-crisis level. The charge by the official opposition that unemployment has escalated to unprecedented levels is equally flawed. Whilst jobs were lost during this crisis, in 2014, our country has actually managed to employ even more people than were employed in the years when jobs were lost, implying that there is recovery. For an example, the quarterly labor force survey has indicated that the full impact of the recession that manifested itself in the fourth quarter of 2009 saw South Africa shed almost 1 million jobs from a high of 14.4 million in the fourth quarter of 2008 to a low point of 13.6 million in 2009. But by the fourth quarter of 2014, the number of employees had bounced back to 15.3 million people. So this indicates that there's a promise that we're going to be turning around this economy. If the members of the official opposition had taken the trouble to read, they would have discovered all these facts that I've just highlighted. It may even be that they did in fact read, but were not going to let facts stand in the way of a good story. What is a story in the Western Cape where they're governing? If you look at the municipal background of employment numbers, tell a very fascinating story about the DA. In 2008, in the city of Cape Town, had a higher level of unemployment than it did in 2008. It stood at 25% in 2013 compared to 19.2% in 2008. In Winelands District Municipality, it is now at 22.2% from 16.4%. Look at what the ANC, some of the districts under the control of the ANC, Mopane District in Limpopo, has reduced unemployment from 26.7% to 18.8% today. eThekwini municipality from 17% to 16% this year. There is no denying that unemployment is a serious problem facing our country, when it should not be used as a political football. It requires government across all spheres to work together. It requires company executives and trade unions to find a solution on wages and other challenges using instruments that our democratic government has availed to resolve this industrial challenge. The challenges of electricity shortage that we're experiencing now have a negative impact on our economy. But as we have said, there are plans that we have. President Zuma, in the last 5 years, we have spent about 1 trillion rand on infrastructure development, indicating that we are, in fact, doing the right things. For us, a message is very clear. Contrary to the wishes of the official opposition, South Africa has weathered the storms of 2008 financial and economic crisis much better than many of the modern economies around the globe. Challenges of unemployment, of poverty, of inequality persist, but we have a national development plan to help us address all these challenges. There is a plan, the NDP, which plan, as we believe, even opposition parties support. Let us all focus our energies in implementing this plan. But there is one lesson that we should all learn from this. You cannot keep on doing the same thing the same way, thinking that you will have different results. At the end of this debate, after much noise from the opposition parties, as sure as the sun will rise from the east, President Zuma will still be the President of the Republic of South Africa. I wish members of the opposition could learn and live with that fact. Two things may happen before their will is realized. Firstly, the pigs would have flown, and secondly, the hens would have grown teeth. In short, it ain't gonna happen. Thank you.
The Honorable Sonti.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable Steenhuisen.
Madam Speaker, may I address you on a point of order?
What's the point of
Madam
order?
Speaker,
Honorable?
part of Parliament's duty in terms of the Constitution is to facilitate public involvement in the debates in this House. I would like you to please investigate why Channel 408, which is a parliamentary channel, has found fit to put a whole lot of other stuff on today and is not broadcasting the very important debate which we're having in the House today. And this goes to the very heart of the complaints that were made about why it is essential that outside broadcasters be allowed to have access to a feed. Because I certainly think a motion of no confidence in the President would take precedent over questions being answered by a minister in the National Council of Provinces.
That actually really is not a point of order in terms of the proceedings of this House. We will, of course, take what you are telling us as interesting information and follow it up. Honorable Sonti.
Ngiyabonga somlomo undinike elithuba. Okokuqala mina ndithi lo tata upresident hayi makakhe aphumle azibeke phansi intambo akazidonsi kakuhle nditsho ndistimela iEFF futhi ke ndime kule ndawo njena ndizawuthethela iMarikana into awayenzayo eMarikana ukubulala abantwana babantu befuna amalungelo abo i-12,500 kuphela wakwazi yena mama kathumela amapolisa azokubabulala ngoba bafuna imali le angafuna ukubanika yona ndithi makahlale phansi aphumle ukhohlakele uthumela amapolisa endaweni yokokuba abanike lento bayifuna incincana ningaka nabo bafuna ukuphila njengaye bafuna ukokha izibaya naye.
Honorable member, there's a point of order. Please take your seat. Honorable Kubai.
Speaker, the honorable member just said that the president killed people in Marikana.
Pardon?
That's the honorable member in her speech. She just said now the president killed people in Marikana. She needs to withdraw that statement because it's wrong.
Honorable Ndlozi, please take your seat. I want to deal with the issue that has been raised. Honorable member. Honorable Sonti, please.
Okanye noba akasazi isixhosa esindisithethayo uzithetha
Hlala phansi sisi. The honorable member is pointing out that you are making an allegation that the president sent troops to go and kill people in Marikana. Now, leyo ke into sisi sicela nje in terms of the rules again. Withdraw nje.
Ndithi iba ngaba isixhosa akasazi okanye mandiphinde nditsho okanye zabamcacisele uthumele amapolisa lipolisa libulele umuntu lelikabani.
Honorable Sonti. Honorable Sonti.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Sonti.
Ndimamele somlomo.
Sisi hlala phansi.
Honorable Speaker.
You cannot say umntu uthumele amapolisa ukuba ayobulala abantu.
Honorable Speaker.
Because I'm not aware that wena we were investigator wayifumana lenyani wena.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Ndlozi, please take your seat. Please take your, no, allow me to finish what, you cannot stop me from saying something when I'm in the middle.
Okay, can you please recognize
Please
me?
take a seat, take
Can
a
you
seat.
please recognize?
Take a seat. So, Honorable Sonti, please hold this sis. Uqhubeke ke ne-speech sakho.
Sakhe
Honourable
ndirhoxise.
Speaker.
Sakhe ndirhoxise. Ndiyayirhoxisa. Okay, ndiyayirhoxisa.
Okay.
Kodwa ke isiXhosa sona sitolikwa. Ndithi ke babefuna i-12,500 kodwa bafa. Ubaba bethunyelwe ngibani uyazazi kapha phakathi kwenu. Okwesithathu futhi kulanda obahleli kuyo kusabole namhlanje yi2.5 years ngoku kusafana ii-toilets ezi nithi urhulumente uzithumele pha bayazithengisa abantu abenu abantu babeke pha bathengisela abantu bangaphandle amachangana. Utata lo ke imbangi yoba ndikhale kakhulu ndini makahlale phantsi bafaka abantu eMarikana kodwa kwi-state of the nation apha akukho nento eyi-1 awakho wayithetha ngeMarikana ayikho neyi-1. Futhi kukho utata ekuthiwa ngutata uRamaphosa ndiyaqonda uba bayiqhuba boyithule le nqanawe ngoba kaloku naye unayo i-email phaa phambili noba sifundanga saziva izinto ezi awayithumela phaa elon mini batsho bafa aba bantwana. Andizizelanga ke apha ndithunyiwe ngaba basebenzi aba bashiyekayo aba baye basala phaa entabeni xa babebulawa ndizithunywe ngabo apha uba ndizonixelela uba nikhohlakele. Basakhalana namhlanje aba bafazi iintsana zabo bangazazi bazozondla ngantoni na. Nina niyadla nigqopha ibhotolo. Nikhohlakele kakhulu ndithi makahlale phansi uZuma nikhohlakele futhi ulilo nesela andazi ke ngesingesi uba kuthiwani wayiba yona imali le kuba zange agqithe kuni nina abantu balapha eSouth Africa xa izayithatha 246 million ulisela.
Honorable Chief
Honorable
Whip.
Speaker. Andiyazi Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Chief Whip.
Inkokeli ye-opposition ibisandurhoxa le nto inye. Andiyani uba uthena ngayikopi laa nto angayithethi qha makarhoxelo sinyani.
Makarhoxise i-statement esi asenzileyo.
Makarhoxa please rhoxa sisi.
Comrade Mama Usonti rhoxisa le ndawo ithi
ndirhoxise yiphi indawo ke ngoku
le ndawo ithi
eyobulala noba eyobusela.
Honorable Dozie, take your seat.
But the Honorable Chief Whip is entering in a dialogue with the Honorable member on the platform.
Chief Whip, nawe uyithethile
Rhoxisa Chief Whip, uhlale phansi kaloku.
Honorable Dozie, I didn't recognize you.
Honorable Speaker, there are two things that I'm objecting to. Eyokuqala, usisi uthi upresident uthumela amachangana phaya. Ucho usisi. Okwesibini, uthi upresident lisela. Ndithi makazirhoxise zombini ezo zinto.